Hi everyone, I'm Tim Herr. I'm your 2022 AREAA National President, and I want to welcome you to the third episode of AREAA's ACE series, where ACE stands for the Asian Code of Etiquette. I would like to introduce you to my wonderful friend and co-host, Teresa.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Tim. And my name is Teresa Palacios Smith, and I'm the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for HomeServices of America. And the AAPI community is so diverse that's important for agents working with specific subgroups to understand, right, their cultural nuances. And by examining etiquette, we're going to be able to provide a better understanding of cultural values, resulting in stronger relationships with our clients.
So today, in today's episode, we're going to be covering table manners, so kind of important in the Asian culture.
And, I'm so glad we were able to talk to Malin Fan in our last episode about using forks or chopsticks. Food is such a broad topic that it's good that we're going deeper into how different subgroups approach eating together.
Absolutely. There's so many different ways of breaking bread, and it's, something as simple as eating rice has so many meanings. One of the things that I was taught when I was growing up, my ethnic background being Korean, we were never allowed to put, if we have rice in our bowls, we're not supposed to lift up our bowls, right? So in the Korean culture, the bowls with the rice is supposed to be left on the table. And I know in other cultures, you're allowed to lift up the bowl, you're eating it from the bowl very close to your mouth. Other cultures, it's very different. I know that it's different in every culture, but it's a very big no-no to lift up the bowl when you have a bowl of rice, or even like noodles, right? Noodles and rice are a lot of unifiers. You'll see that rice and noodles are found in many different cultures, and they have different ways of preparing it, eating it. Again, are you allowed to slurp? Are you not allowed to slurp? There's all that different things, especially within the different cultures.
Wow. Well, what about eating in family style, which has become so popular nowadays? Yeah. And when we're all taking from the same plate, and with COVID, all that, are there any rules around taking the last piece on a plate?
Well, more so than the last piece on the plate, because again, especially in the Korean culture, especially a lot of it in the Asian culture, you're supposed to keep eating, right? My parents or the parentals will always feed you very, very well. It's part of the culture, but more so, it's usually the first thing to eat. If there's someone older or our eldest is usually the one, you're not even allowed to pick up the chopsticks or the spoons. You are supposed to let our eldest, whether it be your grandparents or whoever the eldest is in the room or is sitting at the table rather, to actually taste or at least pick up their chopsticks or pick up their spoons before you are allowed to eat. So after you see them, take the community, if there's soup, they'll have a taste of their soup, or if they get a little bit of rice, then after we see them putting it in their mouth, then we're allowed to all collectively. It doesn't go in order, but it's usually a collective after that. We can all eat together after that.
So interesting.
So today I want to bring in a special guest today as well to talk about table manners in the Indian culture, something I'm pretty unfamiliar with, to be honest, and kind of curious about. Raj Rajpal has been a regional rep for the Northeast in our chapter development committee and is joining us today. Welcome, Raj.
Hey, how are you?
Exciting to see you, Raj.
Great to see you, Teresa, after a long time.
I know, right? And it's so, we're so grateful to have you here with us today. And, Raj, I've read that it's so important to use your right hand for eating in the Indian culture. And I find that so fascinating. And so is that true? And can you explain why?
Yes, it is. So what happens is in Indian culture, they feel the left hand is constantly used for everything all day long. Whether it's putting on your shoes, whether it's cleaning or anything like that. So when you're sitting on a table, they want to make sure you're using the right hand to pick up food from the table, especially when you're picking bread, because now you're going into a common basket to pick up bread. And if you use your left hand, which is considered unclean, then it's like, basically almost offensive. And I've been picked on that a few times where I went into a gathering and I'm sitting on a large table with a lot of people, and I was told, oh, by the way, make sure you're using the right hand. I'm like, oh. So it is because we do everything else with the left hand. Yeah.
And that really would be so confusing because we're so used to, in our culture, to using both hands.
Correct.
So great pearls of wisdom. How about, what if your host offers you food multiple times? Is that normal? And are you expected to eat, what if you're full, is it offensive not to?
So, Indians love to feed. They love to feed you. It's the way of showing love, actually, especially when you go to their house. Even if they take you out to a restaurant, it's the same thing. So at home, at least in the beginning, it's okay to say 1 or 2 times, just say no, it's okay, because you will be asked again. They're not letting you go without eating, at least to give them, even if you had dinner, you still will be asked and said, all right, give me company, just join anyway. So you will be asked multiple times. But even during dinner, if you fill your plate and if they see your plate getting emptied, they'll pick up the bowl and move towards you to, hey, can I offer you more? And, to this day, when I go to India and visit my mom, she still does that to me. And, so many years later, she will sit next to keep feeding me, like, and I'm like, I can't handle anymore. And she'll keep pushing me, no, have more. So it is not offensive. If you're full, you can just, move your hand like this to the plate and say, I'm okay. But they will push you. That's the way of showing love.
That's very true.
Because then they feel that, you appreciate what they make for you. You enjoyed the food.
Yeah, food is definitely a unifier, and definitely I agree with, it's very similar in with my parents too. They all just feed me until I am about to burst. And of course, I'm the one that's getting in trouble because I'm saying, no, I don't want any more, whether or not the food is good or bad. So, that is definitely a challenge.
It's the Asian culture.
It
all
is.
Across Asia, I think it's the same thing. It's a culture.
And you wonder why there's not like a lot of fat little kids like running around everywhere, right?
No.
Lots of exercise, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, definitely, I think that you will find, the Indian culture and the Asian culture, Chinese culture, whatever culture you are, there's definitely a unifier. Food is definitely something that brings us all together. And Raj, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule today.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
To help us learn, because
and
I was always very
absolutely, and I have to tell you, I learned so much from both of you. And here's what I learned too. The Latino culture is very similar as far as that making sure that you're always respecting the elders, right? That they are the ones that first are introduced to the food and take the food, and then that never stopping or offering food. It is something that we all have in common, because it's like, oh, no, you have to have more, you have to try this, and you're like, okay, come on, I'm full, I can't eat anymore. So that is such a similarity, but it's so important to know these wonderful cultural nuances, and there's for us to really learn and to be able to serve our clients a lot better. So thank you so much for sharing this wonderful information.
Thank you.
Hey, Raj, I have one question for you. Are you what about the Indian culture? Are you allowed to like lift up the bowls and stuff like that too? Like, I know that's something
you can, but they don't like to see you playing with your food. Food stuff, basically. It's not a no, but they don't like it being done either.
Yeah.
So definitely not. But if an Indian takes you out, let them pay it. It's okay. They feel good about making the payment.
Oh yeah, that's a big one too, right?
They don't like to split the bills. The host will pay.
Yeah, we will all fight for that one. There is no such concept of like the American Dutch pay. That's very foreign.
Not in India.
Yeah, not in Korea either. We're gonna secretly give the credit card and they'll pay while we're going to the bathroom. Yeah.
So they'll fight over giving the credit card at the table.
Absolutely.
Yep. Good to know.
Teresa's flying to India and Korea now.
Yeah, Teresa, that's a good reason why you should always hang out with me and Raj, right? So someone will be fighting.
Definitely.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely see you guys again. Bye, guys.
Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thanks again.